convert the following equation from general linear form to slope-intercept form. So, the two equations that we have here are in what we call general linear form, or the form ax plus by equals c. And we want to convert this equation to slope-intercept form, which looks like y equals mx plus b. So, in order to go from general linear form to slope-intercept form, we need to isolate the y. So, in equation A, the first thing I will do is subtract 6x from both sides of this equation. That will leave us with negative 7y on the left side and 2 minus 6x on the right side. Now, normally, when we have an equation in slope-intercept form, we have the term with the x first and then the constant term. So I will just rearrange the 2 minus 6x as negative 6x plus 2. Now, to finish putting this equation in slope-intercept form, we still need to get rid of this negative 7 in order to isolate the y. So I will divide both sides of the equation by negative 7. That will leave us with y on the left side and negative 6x plus 2 all divided by negative 7 on the left. Now, this doesn't quite look like slope-intercept form. What we need to do now is to take both of the terms in the numerator of this fraction and divide them by negative 7. You can think of this as distributing the division. And here we can simplify negative 6 divided by negative 7 into positive 6/7 times x minus 2/7. So y equals 6/7 x minus 2/7 is now in slope-intercept form. Take a moment and pause the video and try problem B. And once you've finished it, restart the video. Now, again, we need to isolate the y in order to put this equation in slope-intercept form. So the first thing I will do is subtract the x from both sides. And on the right side, instead of writing 2 minus x, I'm going to put the opposite of x plus 2. Now I need to divide both sides of the equation by 3 to isolate the y. And we get the opposite of x plus 2 divided by 3. Now I will divide both the opposite of x by 3 and the 2 by 3. And instead of writing the opposite of x divided by 3, I'll recall the fact that dividing by 3 is the same thing as multiplying by a third. So I'll rewrite this as negative 1/3 times x plus 2/3. And here we have our equation in slope-intercept form. So, number 2, write your best strategy for the steps you need to take in general to convert from general linear form to slope-intercept form. So again, general linear form looks like ax plus by equals c, and we want to write that in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So, the first thing we need to do is to isolate the term with y. And we're going to do this by subtracting the ax from both sides. If we subtract the ax from both sides, we'll get the opposite of ax plus c. Next, we will divide both sides of the equation by the coefficient of y. The coefficient of y would be this number b. So, if you divide both sides by the b, you will get y equals the opposite of ax plus c, all divided by b. And last but not least, you will want to simplify the right side. So you'll want to divide the coefficient of the x by the b, which would give us the opposite of a over b times x, and we will divide the constant c by the constant b, and that would be then in slope-intercept form. Of course, if there's any simplifying you need to do with these constants, you can just use your fraction skills in order to simplify those. Moving on, now we want to convert the following equations from general linear form to point-slope form. Recall that point-slope form looks like y minus y sub 0 equals m times x minus x sub 0, where the m stands for the slope of the line, and the x sub 0 and y sub 0 are the coordinates of any point on the line. So, in order to write this equation that we have here in general linear form, in point-slope form, the first thing that I'll actually do is just use the skill that we used in the last few problems and isolate the y. That is to write it in slope-intercept form. So I will start by subtracting the 3x from both sides, and then I will divide both sides by the 19. And I'll go ahead and distribute the 19. Now we have this equation in slope-intercept form. And to write the equation in point-slope form, since we already have the slope, we just need to find the coordinates of a point. But in slope-intercept form, we know that the y-intercept is simply this number here, the negative 2/19. So the y-intercept would be 0, 2/19, which gives us our point that we need for point-slope form. So then we would say y minus the negative 2/19, or y plus 2/19, equals the slope, which is negative 3/19, times x minus the x-coordinate of the point, which is 0. And there we have the equation in point-slope form. Go ahead and pause the video and try this second problem B. So, let's see if we can follow a similar procedure for problem B that we followed in A. I'll start by isolating the 3y by subtracting the 3x from both sides, which would give us negative 3x minus 1 on the right side of the equation. Now, I'll divide both sides by 3. Negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1, which gives us the opposite of x, and negative 1 divided by 3 would be minus 1/3. Here we have the equation in slope-intercept form, and we know that the slope is negative 1, and we know that the coordinates of a point are 0, negative 1/3, which happens to be the y-intercept of this line. So now, writing the equation in point-slope form, we'll say y minus the y-coordinate of the point, and subtracting the negative 1/3 makes this plus 1/3, equals the slope, which is negative 1, times x minus the x-coordinate of the point, or 0. And if you have negative 1 times something, that's equivalent to just making this the opposite of something. So this simplifies the equation ever so slightly. There you have it. So, let's write down our best strategy for the steps you would need to take in general to convert from general linear form to point-slope form. So, the first thing I would do is I would convert the general linear form to slope-intercept form. By isolating y. So we would take the equation, oh I'm sorry, I forgot to equal c here. You would take the equation ax plus by equals c, and you would isolate this y and put it into slope-intercept form. Once you have taken the general linear form and written that in slope-intercept form, you should take note of the slope and y-intercept. The y-intercept you can think of as simply the number b, but that corresponds to the point 0, comma b, which gives you the coordinates of a point, which allow you then to write the equation in point slope